This is what the beginning of this week looked like on news that Elon Musk had successfully acquired Twitter.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Lab's all set up, boss.
Oh, actually, he's the boss. I just pay for everything and design everything and make everyone look cooler.
Just stick to the official statement, and soon this will all be behind you.
And now Mr. Stark has prepared a statement. He will not be taking any questions.
I bought Twitter.
It looks like Twitter's gone. They accepted the money and
Bringing you what's ignored, sensationalized, unbalanced, misleading, or just plain false. Here's your media malfeasance for the final week of April. News of the Twitter takeover was plenty covered by legacy media, but was it covered fairly? Newsweek headlines with how to delete Twitter. And Brian Stelter makes the strangest analogy ever.
If you get invited to something where there are no rules, where there is total freedom for everybody, do you actually want to go to that party? Or are you going to decide to stay home? And that's a question for Twitter users. Some Twitter users might love the idea. There's going to be absolutely no moderation and no rules at all. Others might not want to be anywhere near that. Am I crazy enough?
No, you're right. And what happens to the advertising?
Was BS ever invited to a party? Party and rules seems like an oxymoron. CNN's deranged cousin MSNBC offers this take.
If you own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to be transparent. You could secretly ban one party's candidate or all of its candidates, all of its nominees, or you could just secretly turn down the reach of their stuff and turn up the reach of something else, and the rest of us might not even find out about it till after the election.
You mean like what Twitter controllers have been doing to your opposition and even censoring Hunter Biden's laptop before the 2020 election? Here's what Laura from Twitter had to say. A Musk-owned Twitter is one of the greatest threats to the 2022 and 2024 elections. We are effed if this happens. Oh, so they were influencing elections. While critics paint him as an authoritarian supervillain, aren't authoritarians those who apply more control, not less? This genius poses this question.
There is a problem with this idea of free speech, and that is, where is the limit?
It's called free speech. Any limit would be extremely limited. Musk spells out how he wants it applied, congruent with our laws. The First Amendment fundamentally protects speech that is unpopular, offensive, or even abhorrent. Here's the Washington Post. Elon Musk boosts criticism of Twitter execs, prompting online attacks. This is the same news outlet that just ran with an article doxing a private citizen with an anonymous account. And here's the online attack she got, an actual death threat. So it was WAPO itself that boosted criticism of libs of TikTok, prompting online attacks. How do these people have this little self-awareness? They say they're for fairness, you know, that careful balance of 98.7% for one side. And then when called out for their 2 a.m. immediate request for comment, WAPO edits their piece without so much as an editor's note. As I've said before, so much for retractions in today's unethical news delivery. FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr rejected calls for the FCC to step in and block Elon Musk from buying Twitter, saying it's a frivolous request and points out the irony.
You go back to the New York Times. The editor there in the 1950s said that diversity of opinion is the lifeblood of our democracy. The moment that we insist that everyone think the same way we do, our democratic way of life is in danger. And now there's been such a fast pivot when it comes to that, and people want to shut down any divergent view. And it's not just this idea that they don't want to hear divergent views. They don't want those views to exist. They don't want people to be able to exchange political information.
So now all of a sudden, the Biden administration cares about big tech influence.
Our concerns are not new. We've long talked about, and the president has long talked about his concerns about the power of social media platforms, including Twitter and others, to spread misinformation, disinformation, the need for these platforms to be held accountable.
Interesting timing. Also interesting timing, DHS announces the creation of a disinformation governance board, announced just 2 days after Musk secured the Twitter deal. Secretary Mayorkas testified it's to combat misinformation just ahead of the midterms.
We created the Centers for Prevention Programs and Partnership, we term it CP3, to equip and resource local communities with information and funds so that they can tackle the radicalization to violence.
This is the same man that spread actual disinfo that Border Patrol agents were whipping Haitians at the border. Let's compare Disinformation Governance Board to Orwell's Ministry of Truth in 1984. It describes constant surveillance, newspeak, designed to shrink the potential for free thought, a propaganda machine, in order to remain in power. The government is trying to get involved in controlling free speech, a direct violation of the Constitution. And here's who they want to lead it.
They're laundering disinfo and we really should take note and not support their lies with our wallet, voice or vote. Oh!
So this is the point of the show. We're going to say we're kidding, we're making all of this up. It's not really happening in the country you were born in, but it is happening. That's now a law enforcement official.
This same woman says she was just quoting the presidential debate when referring to Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinfo when it wasn't. But wait, here's another tweet where she says it was a fairy tale laptop repair. So let's put someone in charge of arbitrating truth that was pushing actual disinformation. To wrap this up, let's review a quote from Justice Brandeis in his 1927 Whitney versus California opinion. If there be time to expose through discussion the falsehoods and fallacies to avert the evil by the processes of education, the remedy to be applied is more speech, not enforced silence. For KLIM.News, I'm Christy Lee.